Hello and welcome to Colleague 7 Sprint Review for 20.04.02. This will cover the work undertaken between the 14th of April to the 27th of April. Our sprint goal for this sprint has been to update the documents received area with a Paws and long list workflow, as well as the option to copy long listed candidates from one requirement to another. As a bonus in this sprint, we're also able to finalise the first phase of our mobile user interface. Looking at the high-level items and to explain further, in this sprint we've been able to introduce the ability to parse and long list from documents received. This allows you to specify requirements before parsing a candidate's CV, and then once registered it will automatically long list that candidate to the requested requirement. We've added the ability to long list candidates from one requirement to another, so if you wish to copy a selection of candidates that you've previously long listed against a different requirement, you can now do so. I'll give a demo on this shortly. As part of this build, there will be a mobile interface made available to users. So if you navigate to the login page of Colleague 7 via a mobile, it will register your device and display a streamlined interface to allow you for basic data access and searching. I'll give a demo on this shortly. Within the back office area, we've added the sent column to the list invoices table. This will advise the date that the invoice was emailed to the invoice contact. We've moved the GDPR consent settings into their own template location within admin. We've fixed an issue when using the back to search link if you're using the add current results to search result option within search, as previously this sent you back to the candidate search every time. And we've ensured that you can only run the spec CV to contacts workflow from a contact search results when a candidate record has been linked. We'll now go through a brief demonstration on the key features from this sprint. Okay, so what you're able to do now is go to the Colleague 7 login page within your mobile device and essentially access a streamlined version of the Colleague 7 UI. What I've done here is set the Colleague 7 login page as a home icon, which you're able to do, but essentially you can access the login screen on clicking that button. Because the way passwords are retained within mobile browser devices, you can click on a button there and it will pre-populate, allow you to sign in, and then that will take you into the UI. Now the two options that are available as part of this iteration of the Colleague 7 mobile UI is the quick search and recent items. So what you're able to do is obviously run a quick search, enter within the search box area a name, a number, something that you want to search against, and ultimately it will bring back a search result. The way it's been set up is exactly the same as within the desktop UI. So if you click on any phone numbers, it's going to populate or going to prompt the option to call out. If you click on an email address, it's going to prompt the ability to send an email. And ultimately the column options or the field options that you view are within this screen against each entity is defined as per the column options that have been set within the desktop UI. You have the option to filter results just as you do within the main desktop UI, and that's ultimately the quick search. And then for recent items, again, this is the last 100 records you've accessed within the system. Again, the column options that you see have been defined from the desktop UI. You have the means to click there to filter and obviously to instigate any phone calls or prompt any emails that you may want to send in terms of contact to that person. So it's essentially a simple data access mobile UI interface in its first iteration. We have other plans for it in terms of user overview, in terms of lists and other functions, but obviously what we want to do is give you a means to be able to access your data. Signing out is sort of from the top right hand side, click on the menu button, and then obviously you hit the log out button there and it's available to you. So that's the update we've made, or the mobile interface for Colleague 7. The next item to go through is the parse and long list option that's now available within documents received. So on clicking documents received and on selecting an email that has an attachment, what you'll see is an extra option now that's available here called parse and long list. What this basically means is that you've received a CV, or you have a CV and you essentially have it in mind straight away for a requirement. So what you want to do is parse this candidate, register them on the system, but also long list them against the requirement. So if you click parse and long list, there's that initial check to see whether or not the sender's email address is associated to an existing record. So we'll just hit OK on that. But you will look up the requirements on the system, again defaulting as per kind of standard workflow of requirement lookup. It will look against live requirements that are against you, but ultimately you have the means to look up a requirement, and if you select a requirement, hit select there, it will then run the parsing process. But what it's done is it's made a record of the fact that you're looking to long list this candidate against that selected requirement. So when the parsing process runs through and you register the candidate, what it will then do is also long list the candidate to the associated requirement that you specified. So if we just view those duplicates, hit register, it's then going to go through the process of actually registering the candidate and long listing them to the requirement, all in one workflow. The next item to cover is the option that's now available to longlist candidates from one requirement to another. So this is for a scenario where you have ultimately a requirement which is very similar to a previous job, perhaps that you worked several months back. You had a load of people that you longlisted to that requirement, and ultimately you want to revisit those same candidates again and see if they'd be interested in this job. Ultimately what you can do is go to that older requirements, select whichever candidates that you think might be useful for the new requirement that you're working, and then off the candidates tab, your candidates menu, you've got this option here for long list, select candidates to requirement. Select that, and then it will run the requirement lookup. You select the new requirement that you're working, and ultimately that will then save and long list those candidates to that other requirement. Once it's complete, you'll then get a confirmation message advising that candidates have been longlisted and giving you a link to open that new requirement that you're working. So it's a workflow basically to take candidates that you've longlisted from previous requirements and take them into the new requirement that you're working, and then those are all then obviously copied across into that new requirement. So that's the update we made there. The last point to cover is just the update that's been made with regards to the GDPR wording that was previously held within the global settings area. Within admin now, under the template section, there's now an option for GDPR. And when you select on that, what this basically does is allows you to edit the wording for the GDPR link text that is populated in email. When you hit the thumbs up for requesting GDPR consent, you can edit it within this area. Also, the web page upon giving consent, this was previously a global setting, we've now got it within this area, and the web page upon denying consent, again, we've got that within this area as well. So these were previously sandwiched within global settings among other things, and it's a lot better to obviously have that a bit cleaner within its own template location. So GDPR template has its own area now under the template section within admin. As always, if you have any queries or feedback, please get in touch. I'll be keen to hear from you. Also, for those using Colleague 7, feel free to submit your enhancement requests via the support team or directly to me using the above email address. The next video will be the sprint plan for 20.05.01, and as always, that will contain a high-level overview on the items we intend to work on during that sprint. Thanks for watching.